When I first saw clear TIG cups, I was super skeptical. I thought, what in the world is the benefit of that? And then when I got my hands on some samples and I started filming the arc, I realized not only did it help me film the arc, but it helped me see better. You know, look at my glasses here. All right, these are bifocals. These are some backups that I had. My other ones got all foggy on me, so I don't want to get new ones until I'm done with all my chemo treatments and all that stuff. But I need glasses to weld. I also use a cheater lens. When I was 20, I could use a number 12 lens, no cheater, see anything. It's just different now. So if you're having trouble seeing the puddle, seeing where you're going, seeing the crack, seeing the seam, and you're getting on up there in years, clear cups might help. I don't use them for everything, but I sure like them for some things. All right, let's get into the video. I'm going to start off with the number 5 clear cup here because this shows a good example of how it can light all the details up. Zoomed in quite a bit here. But you can see where you've been, where you're going, all around. You can see your etch zone. You can spot a crater hole really easily too when you taper off. I want to show a little trailing shot here too. You can kind of see through the cup and you can see, I don't know how far behind it, but you can see it lighting everything up quite a bit. Well, let's compare what we see here to a similar arc shot using a pink ceramic cup. Still a number 5, still on aluminum. This is an arc shot of my good friend Brad Goodman using the pedal pulsing technique on an outside corner joint. That number 5 cup is one of his favorites, and it's working great, getting really good penetration. It just doesn't light things up quite like this. So if your eyes are struggling a little bit to see the seam, the crack, or whatever, a clear cup might help. It definitely helps me see better. Brad came to visit me a couple years ago. We had the opportunity to sit down and shoot a couple of videos and talk about how he pulses with the foot pedal. He doesn't pulse a lot. He doesn't back off the current a lot. Just maybe, I don't know, 20 to 30%. And that helps him achieve that stack of dimes look. It also helps him run a bigger bead without blowing through on 090 aluminum and get really good penetration, as you can see right here. That can be pretty important on an outside corner joint, especially when you need to blend off most of the weld from the outside and you need something really holding it together. While Brad was visiting, we set up a T-joint in 1/8" thick aluminum, put on a number 5 clear cup so we could film it and you could see all the details better. You can see it lighting everything up here. You can also notice the way he's pumping the pedal. He's only letting off, I would say, maybe 20 to 25% of the current. That just lets him flow the puddle every time he pumps it again. It works for him. I've been experimenting with pumping the pedal technique a little bit, but I definitely don't have it down like Brad does yet. Brad welds a lot of high-end dog boxes, dog feeders, dog waterers, and all kinds of products. Not just aluminum. He's very good at steel and stainless steel too. He uses this pedal pumping technique for a lot of that stuff. Had a great time working with Brad. That's a good looking T-joint. This is a number 7 clear cup. You can really see it lighting the way, the scribe line ahead. You might notice me pulling back a little bit or lengthening the arc when I add filler metal. That's a pretty good technique if you're having trouble duffing that electrode a lot, because that puddle rises every time you add filler on most welds. This number 7 cup came out right before that visit from Brad, so we put it to the test here. About 280 amps on a big thick piece of aluminum on a turntable. And the piece on the turntable turned out to be a pretty good training tool, for me at least, in learning how to pump that pedal, get that stack of dimes look. 280 amps is a little bit over the rated range, but it held up just fine. My friend Andrew Carden was also there for the visit. We were shooting an aluminum video and we were noticing that cleaning action wasn't working well, so we did a little test with gas flow rates and how it affected cleaning action. I'll try to link that up right here. If I run out of those links, I'll put it in the description. But you can see right here, same cleaning action set on the AC balance, but at 15 CFH had hardly any cleaning action, path, and then it got better all the way up to almost 30. So we set it between 25 and 30, and it really cleaned up the puddle. Honestly, one of the things I enjoy most about filming video is I always learn something, especially when I work with good friends like Andrew, Brad, JD, and a few others. Look at the detail you can see right here. Tapering off, swirling around. You can see whether or not you leave a crater dot. And adding only about 5 CFH of argon flow made all the difference in the world from that weld to the prior. During that same visit, Andrew demonstrated a 5F weld test that he had to take to go make one weld on an LNG plant. We used a number 7 clear cup for that weld, and it really helped me capture the arc shot. Both the 7 and the number 8 are good for DC and AC. I'm doing a little padding beads here on a piece of 1/4 inch cold rolled steel, and just kind of showing how swapping back and forth between padding beads on steel and running beads on aluminum can be a really good way to prevent getting in a rut when you're learning how to TIG weld. You'll pay more attention by having to do that. You don't have time to daydream. When you switch back and forth between aluminum and steel, it can really help a student shorten the learning curve. We're going to take a look at some other welds and some other cups in just a second. Quick commercial here. I've got a kit that includes the cups that you see in this video. There's a 7, 8, 10, and 12 clear cup along with 4 through 8 ceramics for when you don't need a clear cup. Link is in the description. Let's get back to welding. This is a number 8 clear cup. I scribed some lines about 1/8 of an inch apart so you could kind of get an idea of travel speed and how often I'm adding filler wire. It's lighting things up really well, helping me see a lot of detail. I welded about 50 of these parts for a machinist friend of mine, and it just happened to work really well on a positioner at about 2 pulses a second with a number 8 cup. I'm able to prop there with a TIG Finger XL as long as I want to, even on that really hot weld. This is a lap joint using 1/8 of an inch thick material, a number 8 clear cup. I'm using about 25 to 30 CFH of argon here. 332 electrode, kind of tapered a little bit, letting it round kind of however it wants to round. Not getting any big hurry here. 332 filler wire. 1/8 would have also worked. Just got to kind of be careful not to add too much. This is another example of just how well a clear cup can light everything up. You don't necessarily need to see on both sides of the weld this far, but this just illustrates how it can light everything up and help you see where you're going. Let's do some DC welding now with a Jazzy 10 clear cup. This is a practice weld for an aerospace test done in a fixture that Adam Booth, A-Bomb 79, made for me a good while back. What I want to show here in just a second is tapering off that amperage when I get to that end tack so as not to melt it away. You can see it's lighting everything up. I'm trying to keep the hot tip of that rod shielded. I taper off and then back in a little bit. I'm going to show you that half speed here, because no matter if you're in a fixture, taking a test or whatever, welding to an end without blowing the end away on thin sheet metal is an important skill. So it's just slowed down. I watch the front of that puddle. As soon as I see it go into that tack, I start getting off the pedal and backing up a little bit. That has worked for me in preventing leaving a crater crack or crater hole in the end, and also prevents blowing the end away on thin sheet metal. This is that same cup, the Jazzy 10 clear, doing some padding of beads, just showing you how well it lights everything up and how well it shields. When you're padding beads, having really good shielding can kind of really help each bead go in better because the previous bead is less oxidized. You can see here the large shielding area where it kept the bead shiny. This next weld is using a number 12 clear cup, also called a FUPA 12. I don't know why. But what I do know is that the FUPA 12 clear cup provides great shielding and great visibility, lets you use a really long stick out when you need to. Here in a second I'll show you how large the argon envelope shielding area is as this cools down. Now you want to hold your torch still, let your post flow time out. I probably had my post flow set on around 10 seconds here, but there's the shielded area. That's a nice big shielded area. Another situation where a large cup like a FUPA 12 works really well is an edge bead. It kind of splits the argon, so if you're using a small TIG cup, you just won't get really good shielding. And where that really matters more is when you have to run 2 or 3 beads on top of one another, and every bead will go in better if the previous bead is not oxidized. Here I use these pulse settings. I find them to work really good for TIG welding on an edge. I'll put the link in the description for the kit that I showed earlier, or you can just go to weldmonger.com, find the kit page, and you'll find it. That's the Navigator kit clear version. We have them for both 17, 18, and 26 style torches, as well as 920 style torches. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. See you next time.